Good afternoon, guys. So I was talking to a friend the other day about, she's inquiring about Jesus and becoming closer in her relationship with God and wanting to learn more and wanting to seek God's face more. And I asked her if she prays, and she said, yeah, I do. And I said, well, how do you pray? And she said, well, I sit and, I pray. I said, okay, do you feel like God is speaking to you? She said, no, I don't know. I don't know if he's talking to me. I don't feel like he's talking to me. And I said, okay, how long have you been doing that? And I realized that was a key thing that a lot of us tend to ignore because we are so impatient. And I don't say this judging anyone or criticizing anyone, because God knows I am one of the most impatient people you will ever meet in your life. But he has been working on me so tremendously with my patience over the last year and stretching my patience. And that's how he works. And this is not the first time I've had this conversation with someone about praying to God and them feeling like they're not being heard and God's not answering them. And it usually comes from us sitting down, praying really quickly, and then waiting for 5 minutes. And if nothing happens, we give up. And we might do that for a couple of days and then we give up. It's kind of like in January, how you go get that gym membership and you go to the gym for a week, but because you don't see results in a week, you're like, well, this isn't working, so forget it. I guess I'm just never going to have it happen. It's just not for me. And we do the same things with God in our prayer life. I will tell you, I have sat at periods every single day for hours on end sometimes, for months at a time, and felt like, God, you were just not answering me. And then we'll get in the shower and not even be praying, and I'll feel God speak to me. I'll know it just inside my heart, inside my soul, that God is talking to me in that moment. He will just all of a sudden pop in, and I tend to think that he talks to me in the shower because that's in one of my most vulnerable states. I know some people, it's when they're driving to and from work, because that's when they can quiet themselves. God will speak to you when God is ready to speak to you. And sometimes he wants to make you wait, because here's the thing. He tells us to ask, to seek, to knock. He tells us when we do those things, he's going to show up. He's going to answer you. And he is. He wants you to knock, but he also wants you to seek him. And sometimes seeking him doesn't just mean for 5 minutes. It doesn't just mean once or twice or 3 times. It means, are you going to persistently seek him? Are you going to keep seeking him even if you feel like he's not answering? That's where your patience comes in. That's where the fruit of the Spirit comes in. That's where the Holy Spirit is going to work on you and tell you to keep going, keep trying. And I will tell you, there is not one person I know who is consistently sought after God, who has consistently prayed and talked to God and waited on him to speak. Sometimes for a day, sometimes for a month, sometimes for 2 months. I know people who have consistently continued to seek God's face, continued to seek his presence, continued to find him and wait on him. At one point, I know somebody who literally sat there and said, God, I am not leaving until you talk to me. And stayed all day in that place until God came and God showed up. And God will not disappoint you. He will come. But you also have to understand, it's on his time, not yours. He is not a genie. We do not rub the lamp and expect him just to show up and give us our wishes. That's not how our God works. He wants us to consistently seek him. And the more we press into him, the more he's going to speak. So now for me, if God doesn't talk to me in the moment that I'm having my quiet time in the morning, that's okay. It's okay, because I know I'm going to be talking to him all day long. I know I'm going to be seeking his face all day long, every single day. There is not a minute of every day that I am not in tune with God and seeking his face and thinking, God, is this something you want of me? Now, does that mean I always listen when he says it is? Nope. I still have free will. I still sin every single day. I still ignore God's presence at times when I know I shouldn't. Like, I will literally feel him check my spirit and say, don't do that. And I'll do it anyway, because I'm like, oh, that wasn't God, when I know darn well it was. But God's still going to show up. God's still going to be there. And there will come a point where sometimes he does feel absent to me. The way I feel is not the truth of where God's presence is. I need you guys to remember that and always reflect on that. That just because you don't feel like he's there doesn't mean he's not there. He is always there. Just sometimes you don't see it. Have you seen those videos where like the person will hide themselves from their animals, like their pets? So they'll play hide and seek kind of with their dog, like they'll have a treat, throw a ball, and then hide behind a sheet, and the dog, run away, and the dog's like, what the heck just happened? Where'd that person go? That's kind of how it is with God. He's putting up the sheet and we might not see him, and so we decide stupidly, because we're about as smart as animals most of the time, that he's not there because we can't see him. We can't feel him. We don't see his hand working. But just because we don't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. We just don't see everything the way reality actually is on the spirit realm. There are 2 different realms here that God is working in, and we only operate in one of them. The same way he can see the past, present, and future for us, and it's already happened to him, he's there at all times. He's in any of those places at all times. We just don't always recognize it. That's not a witness or a testimony of who God is and how good God is. God is still God. We are the ones with the mistake of what our perception of reality is. Take that into your week this week, and remember, God is always there with you. I love you guys.